Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Regular viewers to the channel might remember that at the start of this month I got myself one of these portable solar power stations. This one's an EB55 from Bluetti. I did an unbox and a quick review of the product, and I did say that I'd be giving it a little bit of a test drive. So I have for a couple of weeks been running around the house with this power meter, just seeing how much power different appliances draw. I've been out into the garden at the house, testing out the solar panel and running around with the Bluetti, mainly in the garage, just seeing realistically what it can power. So, how did I get on? Let's find out. So, where to start? I guess we'll start with the solar panel. So if you remember the video, I actually bought a package. I got the Bluetti EB55 and this 100 watt folding solar panel as part of a package deal. Now, it's not the biggest solar panel in the world, 100 watts, but you can never have enough, in my opinion, of these portable solar panels, because unlike the fixed ones that you put on your roof or you build a frame for in the garden, you can just pick these up and go. So really useful to have some kind of literally portable solar power pack. So you can take this anywhere that you want. If you're bugging out, you're camping, off-grid in the cabin, whatever. There's always going to be a use for these. Now, the downside of this, as I found out when I was doing the review and the subsequent testing, it's only 100 watts. So if you're going to be recharging solar power stations, it is going to take a long time. And of course, you are wanting to have full sun. As I look out the window now, it's absolutely tipping it down with rain, as it has been for the best part of a couple of weeks now. We've not really had that really nice bright sunshine. Other flaw in the plan with this, and something that you need to check when you're buying portable power stations and indeed panels, is connectivity between the panel and the power station. You might remember I had to go and buy a little cable, because despite the fact that this has loads of connectors within it, none of them were compatible with the Bluetti, which has this, I think it's an XT60 connector. So I had to buy that separately. So when you are doing this, or if you are doing this, check the power input connector on your solar power station and check the output power connector on your solar panel to make sure that you can actually charge the power station from the panel. Other than that, I really can't complain about the panel. The only real downside was the output power. At 100 watts, you are going to be taking 6, 7 or more hours if your power station battery is at sort of 20% or less. It's going to take you 6 or 7 hours to get it back up to full charge. And that is dependent on having good sunshine. If it's just a normal day with no direct sun, then forget it, it's not going to charge in a day. So that was really the only downside. So I've got a couple of little clips as I was experimenting in the days after I bought the power station. I did struggle, in all honesty, because of the lack of direct sun. It was really intermittent. But I'll bang those few clips in so that you can see what I was up to. One thing to bear in mind is as the sun does move around, you have to actually move the panel as well. We're having this odd cloudy day, so what I've noticed is it's been fluctuating quite wildly. It was sitting constant at around 50-55 watts for quite a while, then dropped to 18 as the clouds came round, and then now, what have we got now? Here it's 68 now, which actually is not bad. Well, it's 55 because I've just gone in front of the panel. So around the back we've got this port. There's a double USB outlet port there. You can see the power light is on. Got a couple of things plugged in. First one is this rechargeable battery charging port. Hoping you can see the light there showing green. And then I've just got a attaching my work phone, so if I unplug that and then plug it back in, you should hear it showing that it's charging. So we'll just leave that, let those charge up, and then probably swap out for some more batteries. But all in all, very pleased with this. There's I wouldn't call it the sunniest day on the planet, but the panels are not in direct sunlight, but they're still obviously picking up enough to charge. Well, it's a grey old day today. It keeps spitting with rain, but the little adapter that I ordered for the solar panel has arrived, so I just thought I'd share that with you. Essentially, let me unplug it. You'll remember that the panel comes with this 8mm jack, which doesn't fit into the solar input port on this EB55. So I've had to order this little connector which has the correct solar port. I think it's an XT60, I can't remember now, and an 8mm jack. So literally that little tiny piece of cable from there to there is what I ordered. I think it was £4.75 or something like that. So plug it into the 8mm jack, plug the other end, if I can do it one-handed, into the EB55, and you can see the display panel lights up and shows that it's actually charging, and it's showing it's showing a whole 3 watts off this 100-watt solar panel, which is pretty negligible, but considering it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, oh, we've got 4 watts now. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a really grey, rainy day, and the sun should normally be kind of behind that apex of the roof. So it's not sat in direct sun, it's not sat in any sun technically, it's just daylight. But we have still got 4 watts coming in. So now that I've got this, I'll do a little test tomorrow if the sun's come out and we'll just see what we get in terms of output from the panel with a decent bit of sunshine. Well, I'm just back from the land, and we've got a little bit of sun sort of peeking out from behind the clouds, so I thought I'd just quickly pop out this panel now that we've got some sun and just see what we've actually got in terms of power output. It's a little bit cramped down here, but 52, 51 watts. So in all honesty, oh, it's dropping. That sun's just going behind the cloud. It's bloody typical. I'm just keen to see what we can actually get realistically this time of year. Yeah, it's collapsing now. The cloud is... yeah, the sun's gone behind the cloud, look. Damn it. Anyway, I'll just let it sit there for a while and run. And see what we get. Yeah, we're down to 7 now. Just goes to show it's a dramatic difference. Just because you've got a 100-watt panel doesn't mean you're going to get 100 watts. Yeah, it's intermittent, this. I got all giddy then because the sun peeked out. I thought, oh, I'll run outside and take a video clip. And it's in and out like a yo-yo. 44. 58, wow. Anyway, I'm sure you get the message. It is totally dependent on how much and how bright the sun is.
but at least we know it works.
So as you can see, just because you've got a solar panel doesn't mean you're going to get power all the time. It is quite dramatic, the difference between a grey overcast day and a bright sunny day when the panel is in direct sunlight. As you can see from the little clips, massive variation between 0 to 1 watt showing on the digital display in terms of power output from the panel. I think the highest I got when the sun was full out was about 78 watts. So in terms of these solar power generators, I mean, mine is at the smaller end of the scale, at 700 watts peak output and 500, I think it's 567 watt hours of battery capacity. So what I'm intending to do is to get a 200 watt panel, and because the plan is to use this at home rather than as a permanent thing down the cabin. Alright, I might take it camping or in the car when I'm on a long trip, but predominantly it's for power blackouts here at the house. So in order to get the maximum amount of power I can back into the solar generator or the solar power station, the input port from solar on that particular power station maxes out at around 200 watts. So if I get a 200 watt panel, then I'm putting in as much as I possibly can capacity wise for the solar generator, and hopefully if I've got decent sunshine I'll be able to get up to 200 watts going in. But even on a kind of grey overcast day or intermittent sunshine day, I should get still over the 100 watts that I can get max out of this particular panel. One other thing as well, in terms of for here at the house, rather than getting a folding panel like this one, the idea is that I'm going to get, similar to what I have at the field, a permanent outdoor aluminium frame fixed panel. So instead of unfolding out to get my 200 watts capacity on the panel, I'll just have a single unit, a single panel at 200 watts that is absolutely weatherproof and rain or frost proof. They say that these are waterproof or water resistant, but having played with this outside, and especially the fold out legs on these portable panels, I don't think that they're robust enough to have them permanently sat outside in all weathers here at the house. In fact, I know it's not robust enough. This canvas material will definitely get wet in the rain. I'm not convinced it could withstand frost either, whereas I know from experience down at the cabin, the normal traditional outdoor fixed single panel type arrays that you can get are absolutely weatherproof. Mine have been through monsoon rains, they've been through wind, they've been through sub-zero temperatures, they've been covered in snow. These folding panels, I am 99.9% convinced could not put up with that kind of weather treatment. So I will be getting a fixed panel, an outdoor one. At some point I'll make some kind of array style racking system for it, and it can just sit out there in all weathers, permanently fixed onto the frame, and I'll not be dragging it in and out as I would have to do with this. It can just sit there. I'll pop a little hole through the wall, probably into the kitchen here, to take the feed cable inside the house, and then I'm not having to put the power station outside as well. There'd be nothing worse to leave it charging, go away, do some shopping, and come back and find it's absolutely chucking it down the rain and potentially having an accident with the power station. So that's the plans for panels. I hope that was useful to you, to see what it can and can't do, and just get the benefit really of what I've kind of discovered over the last few weeks. So how did I get on with the actual power station itself? There's lots of really useful input-output features on here. you remember that there are two input ports for power. The first is that XT60 connector, which I actually bought a little cable for to connect it to the solar panel because it didn't come with that particular fold-in solar panel. But you can also charge it through the XT60 through the 12-volt cigarette lighter type output in your car, or indeed anything else. I mean, I've got these all over the cabin, so in theory I could use this to charge the power station from my off-grid solar array at the cabin. But that's predominantly for use when you're in a vehicle. In terms of fixed panels or other types of fold-in solar panels, if they come with the MC4 connectors on the solar panel, which all of the fixed ones do, and a lot of the folding ones do, then this comes with the portable power station, so this cable connector does. So you can plug the MC4s into your panel and then plug it direct into the Bluetti. And then of course there's the mains charger unit that comes with the power station as well. One interesting thing to note, I was having problems getting enough power coming out of the solar panel outside. I was, as low as 1 watt at some points. Just to remind you, you can plug in the mains charger and the solar as well. So you could have the mains power into the mains power port, your solar panel into the solar port, and you'd be getting 2 inputs to recharge your battery, which will massively cut down the amount of time. So if you are struggling a bit in terms of power output from your panel, you can use both. It will take both at the same time. And another top tip, whilst you're charging, you can still draw power out. So in theory, if you've got more power going in to your solar power station than you have coming out, then it'll take it direct and bypass the battery. So another useful feature there. In terms of output, you've got your 5 volt, is it 3 amp? Yes, 5 volt 3 amp USB ports. There are 4 of those down there. You've got a 12 volt cigarette lighter style output as well. So if you've got a device that has got that 12 volt cigarette adapter on it, you can plug that in and power out using that. Alternatively, which is actually very useful as well, there are 2 12 volt 10 amp outputs off this power station as well. So if you've got something that draws a higher amount of wattage on 12 volts, and I've got you might have seen it in previous videos, I've got a 12 volt thermostat type water heater, and that draws 10 amps. So I could, in theory, use this to power that water heater. Now, you will have to buy some little connectors. I got them here. So it's got this little, I can't remember what size jack that is. If I remember, I'll put it in the comments or insert it into the video. But this literally just plugs into the power station, and then you've got a normal screw terminal type, so you can literally bare cable into this screw connector to whatever device it is that you want to power. I picked up 2 of these, and I think there was something like £2.40, £2.45 for 2, which is actually quite cheap, to be fair. So yeah, lots of options on there, and including, of course, the wireless charging. Now, I don't have wireless charging on my own mobile phone, but I know a man who does. So I took the opportunity to test that as well while I was doing. So I'll give you a few little clips of what I got up to in different types of output, and you can see how I got on. I've had to borrow somebody's phone to do the test of the wireless charger, because I can't do that on mine because I'm poverty stricken. Go on, stick your Gucci phone on. It's not working. Why is it not working?
Should do.
It's not having it. Oh, there we go. And it's charging. Very good. Didn't know if that was going to work or not, but clearly it does. And it's drawing 3 watts. So I'm going to have to send you a bill, Sean. Well, another little random test. I've got I've got loads plugged into the Bluetti. I've got 2 mains chargers for 2 laptops, which are running right now. I've got my USBs. Just flick that so I can see where it's drawing. I've got a phone on charge, which is my work phone. And I've got some batteries charging off those 2 USBs. And I'm drawing at the moment, well, it's fluctuating a bit, between 76 and 83. And it's dropping gradually. So yeah, in terms of connecting devices, there's 2 mains, 220 volt adapters plugged into there, 2 USBs into there, and everything's running sweetly. So well done, Bluetti. Another little short video clip on the emergency backup power theme. Still work in progress with this garage. But I have got a small fridge and small freezer in here as a backup. This is the freezer. This has actually been off since I moved out of my old house months ago now. So I've just been waiting to get the garage sorted out so I can get these 2 into operation. But what I wanted to do was have a look at the power draw. So I've got a power meter plugged into the wall here. This is all new. I've installed all of this additional power outlets in the garage. At the moment, if you can see that or not, it's showing 0 in terms of power draw because there's only this plugged in. And while it will draw a bit of power, it's not going to be a watt, so it's not registering. So the idea was to plug in the freezer, and the biggest draw on this in terms of power will be when the freezer kicks in from nothing essentially and starts to drop the temperature inside. So it'll be working hard and drawing lots of power as the freezer starts to freeze. And then gradually, once it's hit temperature, it'll level off and there'll be minimal power draw. So just interested to see what it draws on startup. So that's plugged in now. I'm assuming that's the right one. Yeah, it is. So that's showing 33 watts. That surprises me. That's got to draw more than that. So I'm expecting that to climb, which it is slowly. Would help if I shut the door as well. The joys of live, make it up as you go along video. So yeah, I'll just keep an eye on this and see how much power it actually draws to get to temperature. And then once it's at temperature, I'll see where it stabilises at. But I am expecting that to draw a lot more than 33 watts. 33.23, 6 now. It's fluctuating a bit. So yeah, I'll let you know how I get on with that. And then once it's up and running, I'll get the Bluetti power station out. Why is that not focusing? It's trying to. I'll get that out and I'll do a little overnight test with it and just see how long I could keep the freezer running. And once I know that, I can then work in combination of that and other devices that I might want to keep powered during a power cut. So we'll keep an eye on that, see how we get on. Where is it now? It's hovering on 31. So I'll let you know in due course. Just a very, very quick update. We're showing 38 watts now. It's been a couple of hours. So actually not that much change. I'm surprised. I did a little test earlier on what I thought was the freezer. It's actually the fridge. That's the freezer. So I'm now going to do the same thing on the freezer and see what, if any, difference there is. So it's plugged in, ready to go. I'll just flick that on and we'll see what the difference is. It's just literally powering up. Ah, that's quite a big difference actually. That's double. The fridge was running 33 to 35-ish. This is running at 62 on startup. But again, interesting to see when I come back in a few hours whether that drops or not once it reaches its working temperature. Still surprising that it's only 62 or 63 watts though. So I'm quite comfortable running that through the night on the portable solar power station. I'll keep you posted. I've left it for a couple of hours and gradually the wattage is dropping. We're down to 58 watts now. So I'll just continue to monitor that through the rest of today and into tomorrow and see what happens. See if it gets down any lower. Well, I left the freezer overnight. Actually forgot to come back and check, if I'm honest. So I thought first thing this morning I'd take a look. It's actually drawing 0 now. So it's obviously reached temperature and it's no longer drawing power. I'll just open the door. Oh, it's definitely frozen. So I guess now it's at temperature, it's just cut out and it'll just cut on and off, on and off, on and off as it needs to find, as it needs a temperature drop. It'll just kick in, cool a bit till it reaches temperature, then kick off. So 0 watts. Okay, so it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to pop into the garage, take the Bluetti in there and plug it into the freezer, and we'll see how long it lasts. Hopefully, if I'm up at 6 in the morning, it hasn't died, but let's see. Okay, so here we go. All I'm going to do is unplug this. Flow in the plan. I don't think I can do this one-handed. Let me just try and... That's better. Drop that on there because I don't want to measure the power. Pop that... Sorry, what am I doing? I'm not used to plugging stuff in the mains. I actually want to plug this in to the Bluetti. That's better. So there we go. That's in. So let's flick that on. There we go, it's powering up. So we've got a full battery. And now all we need to do is wait and see how much power it sucks out. Now at the minute it's showing 0 watts. I'm guessing that's because the freezer is at temperature and doesn't need any power yet, because it's already there. I've not opened the door. Oh, there we go. It's suddenly kicked in, it's drawing power. What's it drawing? It's drawing 54, 55 watts. So it's going to be interesting to see how that progresses. I'll pop in before I go to bed in a few hours time, and then I'll pop in again 6 o'clock in the morning and we'll see what it's doing. I can actually hear the freezer. It just kicked in. So it's obviously got to its temperature drop and needed power again. So let's take a little look at that later and see how it turns out. But at the moment 56 watts. So in theory, if it stayed at that, I'd be buggered in 10 hours. So let's hope it doesn't stay at that. We'll find out, I guess, in the morning. Fingers crossed. Well, here we are almost 12 hours later. 10 to 6 in the morning, still dark outside. Gonna pop in the garage and see how the Bluetti's coped with running the freezer overnight.
Right, it's almost 12 hours, so let's take a little peek and see what we've got. And we've got 40%, if you can see that or not, 40% of battery left. I'm actually quite impressed with that. I did expect it to be the 20% or maybe even come back to a flashing light or it'd been totally dead. So yeah, that's quite encouraging actually. So I'll just leave that now I know it's not dead. I'll leave that for the next hour or two, depending on how long it takes to get daylight. And then we'll plug the freezer back into the main socket and get the Bluetti onto the solar panel and see how long it takes to charge in these grey winter mornings. Right, well it's 10 to 8 now, so we've finally got some daylight outside. So I've just popped out the solar panel and the Bluetti, so let's pop outside and get it charged up. So as you can see, we've actually got no clouds in the sky, which is good. However, the sun isn't going to come round here for at least another hour or so, and then it'll gradually work its way across. So panels out, so there's no direct sun, it's just literally dawn breaking. Let's get the panel. You can see there's a light under there, so we are getting some power, just don't know how much. Doubt it's going to be very much. Just pop this in. It's difficult to do this one-handed. And there we go. So we're sat at 40%. It's starting to charge. It's not actually showing how much it's bringing in though, so I'm guessing it's not a lot. I'll just wait and see if it flicks on once it figures out. Clearly not a lot. I've just popped it on a box to keep it off the floor because this floor is very cold. Try and stop the cold leaching into the bottom of the Bluetti, and batteries don't like it when it's cold. So not the best place to be charging. I think probably I need to figure some way of getting a cable inside the house rather than having to bring the Bluetti outside the house. But we'll see. Yeah, still not showing any input there. Now whether that's just because it's less than a watt, I don't know, but I'll keep you posted as we go through the day. So, just before 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll see what we do or don't get. It's 5 to 10 and you can see on the wall we've got some sunshine. Oh my god. So, let's have a little look. Now that the panel's actually in some sunlight, it could do with being a little bit higher in the sky, in all honesty, but beggars can't be choosers. So what have we got? If you'll see that or not. 55. Can you see it? 55 watts.
Well, lots of little different clips there in that little montage as to how we got on with the Bluetti EB55. In terms of the smaller devices through the USB ports, no problem whatsoever there. You could run those literally all day, every day, without having to worry about the battery. In terms of mains devices, I've established now that yes, I can run my small freezer all the way through the night without any problem at all. If they were up to temperature, as they would be in a power cut, because they'd have been on mains all the time and they'd be just maintaining their cooling temperatures, there's a fair chance I could get away with both that small fridge and that small freezer all the way through the night. You remember on the test, I was doing it from a cold start, cold start, no pun intended there. The fridge and the freezer were both at normal room temperature, so they obviously needed to draw quite a bit of power at the start to reduce the temperature inside the appliances to get it to working temperature. That wouldn't be the case in a power cut. They would already be at that working temperature, and they'd just be cutting in, out, in, out, in, out, in order to maintain that through the night. So that's quite encouraging that a device this small, and to be fair it is, I mean there's only 560 odd watt hours of battery capacity in this, so it is at the small end of the scale. It's encouraging that that can manage to maintain those devices through the night. Now okay, you saw me trying to recharge the power station from the solar panel, and bearing in mind it's a 100-watt panel. Winter skies, not that much sunlight. It did come out for brief intervals, but it did take the day. I can't lie. By the time the sun was going down, it's difficult to gauge exactly on this display panel because it goes in segments of 20%, so it goes 20, 40, up to 100. So on the solar panel, I managed to get it beyond 80%. I don't know exactly how far above 80% it was. It could be 81%, or it could be 99%. I have no way of knowing for real on that display. Maybe that's a bit of a flaw in the plan there for Bluetti. Maybe they should have a digital counter type display rather than the bars display that they've got there. So when I eventually pulled it back in, I thought, do you know what, I'll stick it on the mains charger just in case it's not quite there. And literally within, well, it was less than 5 minutes, it was probably 3 or 4 minutes, it was showing 100%, so it was fairly close. But do you really want to sit around all day waiting for this to get back to full capacity? And what if it had been, as we have had, thrown it down with rain, you know, really dark sky, then I wouldn't have got it as charged as I did. So with that in mind, the plan is to get a bigger panel and to get a 200-watt panel, and then based on the performance of that 100-watt in these winter conditions rather than full sun summer conditions, I'm confident that I would have no problem with a 200-watt panel in getting this to full capacity easily within the day, and probably less than half a day. So all in all, am I pleased with this? Absolutely yes. It does what it says on the tin. The idea behind this is as a backup in case of a mains grid power outage, just to keep the essentials going, and in my case that's predominantly the freezer. I'm not really that worried about the fridge, but it's good to know I could do both potentially off this unit. I have tried checking various appliances within the house. Typical live video, my notepad's over there. Hang on a second. I just wanted to see what feasibly I could run. And again, in all honesty, in a modern house, you're not going to run that much off this particular unit. I mean, things like my big fridge freezer combination thing, that runs at 254 watts. Now, I'm not going to run that overnight for sure on this particular unit. Hence, I've got the smaller ones in the garage as backup. Things like kettles, halogen cookers, rice cookers, they run above the max capacity on this unit. For example, halogen cookers at 1600 watts, rice cookers at 870, slightly over the capacity of this. So I couldn't do that with this. What I could do, I did test out my TV. I've got a big 55-inch TV. There's the TV, the DVD player and an Amazon Fire Stick all plugged in at the same time. It runs between 56 to 85 watts. The laptop on charge runs peak 65 watts, drops down to 15 and then probably to nothing once it's fully charged. And things like phones, you can run those all day, 6 watts max on full charge. So yes, very, very happy with this and would recommend it. If money was no object, I would be getting the bigger ones, the 2,000, 3,000 watts and upwards. But we'll see, I guess.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.